There are almost 150,000 Australians living with type 1 diabetes. They're destined for a life of blood glucose testing and daily insulin shots, and they're also at risk of a silent killer. It's a syndrome called dead in bed. But as David Richardson reports, there's a new device, an early warning system that can save sufferers.
I feel these four walls close.
I would describe Daniela as vibrant, somebody that everybody absolutely loved. She just loved life. She didn't waste a moment.
She was the life of the party, a Year 12 student with so much ahead of her, struck down suddenly by acute complications from type 1 diabetes.
It's an autoimmune disease. It's a complete breakdown of the pancreas, where the pancreas makes no insulin anymore. One that is diagnosed with type 1, it's a lifelong disease.
Daniela Meads Barlow, or Danny for short, was first diagnosed with type 1 when she was 5. What followed were years of constant monitoring and tens of thousands of insulin injections, close scrutiny on diet and exercise. But she didn't let it stop her doing a thing. November 2011, and the Meads Barlow family are preparing dinner just as they had every night. Danny had just fulfilled a dream, starring in her school musical, and was preparing for Year 12 exams. It was a night like any other.
At 10:30 she came into our bedroom and she said, "Good night, Mummy, I love you so, so much." And as she walked out the door, Brian said to her, "Danny, what's your blood glucose level?" Or what's your BGL, basically is what we say. And she said, "Daddy, I'm 12.2 and I've still got insulin working." And that was the last that we saw of Daniela.
There was no indication anything was wrong.
When I went to wake her at 6:30 in the morning, her blood glucose level had dropped so quickly that when the paramedics came, they said that she had been gone for hours.
She had become yet another victim of dead-in-bed syndrome. Had you ever heard of dead-in-bed syndrome?
Not before the day Daniela died.
But that was what killed her?
That was what killed her.
But Mum Donna has now discovered how big a killer this syndrome really is. Hundreds of young Australians cut down by a silent killer. Every type 1 diabetic is at risk. So there's 140,000 people watching this now who will go to bed and may not wake up.
That's correct.
But Danny didn't have to die at all. There was a device that could have saved her, an early warning system for diabetics that sound an alarm when the blood glucose levels radically change.
If we had the technology that we've got here today, which is called continuous glucose monitor, then Daniela would still be here.
So that over the past 24 hours, that has been my levels.
The continuous glucose monitor measures blood glucose levels non-stop and can send that information to a smartwatch, smartphone or tablet. But it's not cheap. 19-year-old Emily Joyner's mum spends almost $6,000 a year for peace of mind.
This is the sensor with the transmitter on top. Now this white bit, that's the expensive bit. That costs my mum about $450 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that you need the government to help with.
And that lasts 7 days.
Donna has set up the Danny Meads Barlow Foundation to inform diabetics about this life-saving device, which few can afford. The Danny Foundation is now pushing the federal government for funding for all 140,000 type 1 diabetes sufferers in this country, to give them $5,000 each a year to pay for the expensive sensors on the continuous glucose monitors. In a statement, Health Minister Susan Lee told Today Tonight,
"It's important for any new treatments or devices for chronic illnesses were evidence-based, and any changes were carried out in close consultation with patients and clinicians."
If I could turn back to the first day we met.
Nothing will bring Danny back. Nothing will fill the hole in the Meads Barlow's lives. But they're determined to push the devices through to ensure Danny didn't die for nothing. This is Daniela's real legacy.
This is Danny's gift.